Yeah. Hello, everyone. You all right? When we go into games like that, Geo, my mantra is usually this, like very similarly to sort of what Major's saying to a certain extent here, right? If we go out there and we lose, it is what it is. But as long as I can, after the fact, sort of say, do you know what? We put a shift in. We did what we could do. We tried. Sometimes when you try, a better team beats you. You move on. I can't really say that today. Can't really say that after yesterday. It was bad, and then it turned into pathetic. If we're being honest.
Well, Moyes has said it. Moyes has said we got beat by the better team. They're too good. They're on a different level to us. There's nothing we can do.
To be clear, it's not getting beat by a better team, because we did get beat by a better team. I think that's true. It's the level of performance out there when you look at it, be it from the setup, be it to the subs, be it to the actual performances on the pitch. It doesn't matter. The actual level of performance that we put in, we basically didn't. There's no point in us even turning up.
Yeah, can I just click on what Gareth said? Hello, everyone in the live chat, by the way. Keep your comments coming in. We'll click on them as we go and stuff. Gareth said, have I calmed down? No, obviously I was angry last night. And I woke up still a bit annoyed, but I'll tell you what, before doing this video, I thought, right, let's listen to Moyes' interviews. I'm further annoyed. He's annoyed me more. I'm trying to remain calm because not everybody likes ranty videos. But listen, it swings around, right? It's when we win, I'm really happy. So you get the good stuff, but you've got the bad stuff as well. I'm not normally that angry after defeats either. But last night I was just on a different level of fuming because of the team he selected. If he put out what I thought was his strongest team, or he put out what I thought he thought was his strongest team, does that make sense? I don't even think he thought that was his best team last night. So I really struggle with that lineup. And then you see the level of performance or lack of performance from the players as well. Plus, it's the quarterfinal of a cup. Like I said, I'm not going to apologise for getting my hopes up, and I'm not going to apologise for getting angry that we've thrown the cup tie, because that's what it feels like. Even the morning after, when you're a bit calmer and stuff, it still feels like we threw it. And then when we've listened to him in the interviews and he said, well, we got beat by a better team. And then it's the line that he said something like, well, people have been wanting rotation. There it is.
I've got it written down. So there were two interviews where he mentioned it, but the one that you're referring to specifically, we're giving players in the team opportunities. We've been questioned about not rotating enough. Well, maybe we'll look at it now and say the manager was right in making the choice because he's playing the ones he thinks can get the results. That's a direct quote from Moyes.
But who's he firing this question at? Do you know that comment, right? So he's obviously firing at someone or people, this is what you've wanted, right? Well, whom? Because people have wanted rotation in previous games, so that when you got to the quarterfinal, you could play your strongest team. Arguably, what he's doing, he's basically saying the manager was right. You're all wrong. You've been proven incorrect. Now, actually, I think those people have been proven correct. Which was, if you do not rotate, you're going to have to rotate against Liverpool, and we're going to get beat. So actually, I would argue, while he's saying the manager's right, actually, no. The fans were right. They knew this was coming. As soon as I see that lineup against Wolves, I knew what was coming last night, which was a rotated team, because he was going to have to rotate players somewhere. And he would have identified this fixture a couple of weeks ago, I think, and thought, right, I'm going to win against Freiburg, win the group, I'm going to beat Wolves, and then Liverpool will rotate, and then we'll go and beat Man United. That would have been his plan all along. So when he said, basically, this is what happens, no, I'm not having that, because let's split West Ham fans into two camps. There might be more, but let's split down the middle, which is some fans didn't want rotation. There's some fans that wanted rotation because they're not that bothered about the cup. That's fine. Okay, I accept that. That's your opinion. But Moyes' comments can't be directed to them because they agree with what he's done. Right, so he's not directing his comments at that lot, so put them away. So it must be at the ones that's been wanting rotation. Well, actually, like I said, people have been wanting rotation previously, so we didn't have to do what we did last night. And it's not just about starting the players, it's also rotation can be in relation to substitutions in games. So do it on the hour mark, so actually they're fit for the next game, not in the 87th minute. One sub in Pablo Fornals. So his comments have really wound out. Right now, Charlie, I'm more annoyed at his comments than I am about the performance last night. I feel like I'm around about that, but now it's actually what he's saying is really bugging me.
Yeah, I think how do I word things that aren't gonna. It's one of those things where he's speaking half truths, but you're, like you say, ignoring the idea of like, well, you could rotate in other games, you know. And I think that's the problem. He cited the level of other games being difficult to rotate, and that's why he doesn't do it much. And I don't think he's wrong. But picking a quarterfinal of a cup competition to do the rotation seems like an interesting choice to me, because I think if you look at his like there was a much longer comment he did in the post match one with all of the journalists as opposed to just the club website, where he sort of speaks about in a lot more detail, where he was asked directly. So one of the journalists says, when you make team selections like that, do you leave yourself open to criticism when the result goes the way it did? And he sort of says something similar, but slightly more expanded. I think it's a pretty cheap question to ask when I think the only team who have played more games in the league over 3 years are Liverpool and Man City. We've had the quickest turnaround of all the teams in the Premier League, only 2 days, and we've played more games. I don't rotate very often because of the level of the games, and I had to find a way of finding out what players were going to be good for me going into the Christmas period and when I'm about to lose some to AFCON. So it's when we'll lose some to AFCON. So it's really important that we find out. And tonight we gave some players opportunities. I don't think it's to do with that. Tonight I think it was good to tonight was to do with how good Liverpool were and how well they played. I think everything he says there is probably true, but it's ignoring all of the context around it, and that's kind of the problem here. I think I think everyone wants to rotate. I don't think there's a single West Ham fan here who would not want to see West Ham rotate in some games. And again, I think it's to say one thing on the side of say one thing that's on the side of Moyes on this sense. It's difficult to rotate when you're out of form and you only really have a core group of players, right? Like the last 2 games we spoke about it, I feel like what we've seen are 11 players who are really starting to gel, really starting to click together. You see the passes from Paquetá to Kudus, one of the things I was citing in the last video, right? The problem is this is a quarterfinal of a cup competition, bro. Like, obviously, there would have to be some force changes in that Near Forget wasn't available. We know that, so there would have to be at least one force change, right? But outside of that, every other change you made was a decision. Was a decision in a cup quarterfinal. In a cup quarterfinal, which, let's be real, and you said it on the build up, you said it on the when you spoke to the Liverpool fan from the Anfield Wrap, who I can't remember his name, but whoever won that game has a pretty decent chance of going on to win the entire competition. That's when it becomes the problem, not the rotation. Although, look, again, what he's saying is technically true, but it's true when you look at it in a very isolated bubble, not actually the entire course of the season when you could have rotated against any other team. And that's my big problem with it. Like, I wanted to see a lot of these players get opportunities. And when you left after the build-up, I spoke with Gonzo about it, right? I was like, realistically, you look at the team, Bowen, Kudus are 2 of our best players. You know, Alvarez, we can't win a game without him playing. He went off. We conceded 2 instantaneously. Shock. I know, it's wild. Mavropanos is someone who most people want to see start over Zuma sometimes. Soufal our best right back at the club. You can make the argument that Ariola's our best goalkeeper. So it's not exactly like it was a team that didn't have anything in there. And some of the people, Johnson, I know I'm alone at this. I really want to see Johnson given opportunities at times. Not in a quarter-final against Liverpool away. What are you talking about? That's not when you do it. like that shows that, frankly, you gave up this game. You said it in the review, right? I was watching the review. You said the game was over at 7 p.m. when the lineups came out. That shows that by that point he'd already given up on it. Because if you wanted to go through in this competition, and this is not to insult Ben Johnson, for example, who I really want to see continue at West Ham, and I really hope that he proves himself and manages to stick around. You don't start Ben Johnson ahead of Emerson. You just don't. Not against Liverpool away. That's the big problem. I think it's a situation where, like I said, if we go up against big teams and we lose, as long as I can come out of it thinking, do you know what? We put it all out there. We really did. From literally the moment the lineups were announced, we did not put it all out there. We did not put it all out there. And that's not to absolve individual performances. Because last night I stayed relatively calm for most of the watch along until certain moments happened. At one point, Ibrahim Konate, who'd just come on, walked from their area with the ball all the way to ours. Walked with the ball. So obviously, performance-wise, there were some horrendous performances that need to have questions written about it as well. But it's just impossible. It's just an impossible situation. It's an awful, awful thing to watch. Last thing I'll say, I spent time with my family yesterday, as you know, right? One of whom is who's a Man United fan, and he sort of said to me, he goes, "Oh, are you looking forward to the match today?" And I was like, do you know what? Yes, but if we lose, it is what it is. Like, I like, it's Liverpool away. Like, we'll see what happens. But I think we've got a good opportunity to do this. We've got 11 players who are purring. Let's see what we can do. We d-
It's the wrong fixture. He's basically prioritised Man United over last night, which I can't agree with. I can't get behind. Do you know we lost against Man U? If he rotated the side against Man United, and properly rotated, not just because this is the problem. While he's rotated last night and thrown the game, he still played Bowen and Kudus and
yeah,
Alvarez. He's still Sufal. He's still giving those players that could still do the rest. So what's he going to do? He's got on Man U. Is he going to rotate those ones and then go half-hearted against Liverpool and half-hearted against Man U? That's a dangerous thing to do. I think he'd be better off going all out last night. And had we won, do you know something? Even if we lost, and listen, the boys gave everything. I really want to get the semi-final. Liverpool just too good. You go, okay, it's fine. They are better than us. I don't disagree with what Moyes is saying. Liverpool are a better team than us.
yeah.
But you don't have to make it easy for them. And I feel like that's what we did last night. But he's prioritised the Man United game. Had we won last night, he said, look, we're going to have to rotate against Man U. Some of the boys are knackered. They've given it all. I'd like to think most people go, okay, because we're in the semi-final of the Cup. We're all right with that. We've seen us give up points in the previous 2 seasons, not so much last season because of the relegation battle, for the Europa League, where we went to Stamford Bridge and we fielded a really rotated side because we had the Europa League. I think it might be in the Lyon games or the Frankfurt. It might be in the Frankfurt game we were away to play. We fielded a really rotated side against Chelsea. Nobody cared. We all went, that's the right thing to do. Focus on the Europa League. We're in the semi-final. Go win it. Do it. Last season, when we were secure from relegation, we went to Brentford, went to Leicester. We were getting beat by Leicester. The away fans were bouncing because we had a final in Prague to look. We didn't care about the Premier League at this point because we had the cup dream was alive. Had we been in the semi-final this morning, who cares about Man U on Saturday? On Saturday we will, but I tell you what, come Saturday night, hang on a minute, we've got Christmas coming up. We're in the last 16-year play. We've got a bloody semi-final to go to, 2 semi-finals to look forward to post-Christmas as well. The excitement would far exceed, but instead, we're going to Man United, and this is the point I was trying to make last night. But I'm aware I was really angry, so probably didn't make many of them good. But someone said, let me just scroll, regarding the Man United game, and I wanted to click on it because he said he has to get a result to justify it.
I mean, I will say while he's finding it, there were a lot of, when I was looking through the comments on the review last night, there were quite a few people who were asking that exact question, basically making the point of, well, what happens now if we lose against Manchester United? Then what the hell was the point in the first
place?
Here
go, Greg. I'm not digging you out, Greg. I understand this point, right? But this is why it's not enough for me. Because if we beat Man U, it would justify in his head, but we're still out the cup. Do you know what I mean? We're still out the Carabao Cup. So yes, we've got 3 points against Man United. It'll be a great result, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But you can't rectify last night in the Europa League. At least when we lost against Olympiacos, if we beat Everton, which we didn't, we lost to Everton as well, which made it worse. But had we beaten Everton, we'd have justified. We still went on to win the group, so it was fine throwing that game. You couldn't throw the one last night. The consequences are you are out of the competition. There's no comeback. So that's why I was frustrated with it last night. I know there's people speaking about the players. The players were crap last night. The players were rubbish. This isn't all on Moyes, but we're just talking about Moyes' comments post-match to sort of try and justify what occurred. And it's when we write up. Now, I've put in the title Allardyce-esque, Charlie.
Yes.
Because remember the Nottingham Forest FA Cup game? He threw the kids in there, changed formation, and it was almost like, you want to see the academy players? There you go. That's them. We've just been beat 5-0. There you go. I feel like it was almost Allardyce-esque last night. Not as severe, of course, but it was almost like you want the team rotated. There you go. There's the rotated team right at the cup. Because of his comments after, which was maybe the manager's correct, it's almost like he was trying to prove something. And when he speaks about how he had to give players opportunities, not like you said, not in a quarter-final of a cup comp. That's not the game you do it. And also, is that an opportunity? Away to Liverpool. That's when you think, let's play Said Benrahma and see what he's got. Away to Liverpool. Arguably the second or third hardest fixture. If this is the Premier League, you'd say Man City and Arsenal are up there. And Liverpool, that's the 3 hardest fixtures on paper. And that's the game we decide to see if they've got something. Not
Mm.
Wolves at home or Palace at home or Everton away at home, or Burnley away. Not those games. We're not going to play in those games. We're going to play away to Liverpool and see who's got what it takes to step up when Kudus goes to African nations. Leave it out. It's not about giving them a chance, because that wasn't a chance. That wasn't an opportunity. That was just
another thing. Another thing he said. Someone spoke. He was asked about Paqueta, and he said that he didn't want to come on because he quote wanted to save him from playing too much. He didn't want him to play 45 minutes, which means this wasn't about giving people chances. Like he says straight after, he says, "I want to give other people chances to show what they can do." But the fact that your first gut instinct is to say, "Yeah, I didn't want to play him for 45 minutes because we need to give him a rest at some point." The players who've played a lot. Then what are we doing here, my G? Like, where are we going with this? like, it's like the Allardyce comparison is interesting because obviously the team that Allardyce put out was significantly worse than the team.
Like it's different. It is different.
It's different, but the motive is the same.
The principle remains.
Right, exactly the same. It's the other thing you said to me, and I think you're going to go the same way. You mentioned this to me. Your exact quote were like, before the show, we sort of talk about what we want to talk about a little bit. We sort of structure it ever so slightly. Not a lot, I can't lie, but there's a bit of structure to it. And you wrote the exact words to me. This is why I didn't want Moyes sacked.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably going to go the exact same way I am with this, but I want to know what you think first.
Basically, I wanted Moyes sacked just for a new subscriber. Hey, if you're new, do subscribe while you're here. Drop a like on the video and all that. But for those who are new and haven't watched Hammer's chat, I think sometimes I fall into the trap of assuming people know my previous opinions and stuff, and that's obviously not possible. But to try and keep it brief, last season I wanted him sacked up until about February, and I thought the team was improving a little bit. Come March, when we were linked with Rafa, I thought, whoa, don't sack Moyes, because if that's the alternative, I don't want the alternative, because I thought, by the Newcastle game, when we got pumped by Newcastle, I never thought we'd get relegated. And I always thought we'd win the Conference League. And come February, March, I thought, that's enough. As long as we stay up and win the Conference League, I'm happy with that. And I think Moyes could do it. And if we did employ a new manager last season, whoever we got in, what were we hoping they'd do? Keep us up and win the Conference League. I thought, well, actually, I think Moyes can achieve that. So let him stay till the end of summer. Then that's possibly where we say, thank you very much, Moyes. Right, we're going to go in a different direction. Right. So come the summer, I was hoping he would go at the end of the season. He didn't. He stayed. Now in the summer, I tried my best to push a big reset button. I thought, right, Rice is gone now. We're bringing in, we hadn't at this point, but after the transfer window, I thought I'm buzzing with these players. Well, 3 of them. I didn't know Mavropanos, so I wasn't excited. I was excited to discover him, but I wasn't excited about the signing because I have an opinion on him. But the other 3, I was happy with Ward-Prowse, really happy with Alvarez, and I was buzzing with Kudus. But I've done my best to push a reset button with Moyes and say, right, come on, new season, he's here. I might not want him, but he's here now. Let's see what he's got. Let's see if we can change it up. And at no point have I wanted him sacked this season, because I want Steiden to have the whole season to go and find his successor. Because that's what it is. It's not a replacement for Moyes. It's a successor. The successor is that they can maybe improve on what Moyes already done. He's done really well. He's built this foundation. He's almost allowed West Ham to outgrow David Moyes. We possibly needed Moyes. We probably no longer need him. But I don't want Moyes sacked today. I still don't want him sacked. I understand why people do. You don't have to tell me why you want Moyes sacked today. I get it. I completely get it. I don't want him given a new contract either. I would like him to remain till the end of the season. Then, right today, I'd like him to go at the end of the season, at the end of his contract. Say, thank you, Moyes, off you go. We're going to go get this next guy in that we spent the last season scouting, identifying, and we've recruited him now. That's what I hope. But a large part of the reason I didn't want Moyes sacked, Charlie, is because he'd go for cups.
Yeah.
He won the Conference League. This season, I look at it, I think we can probably still I still think we can still qualify for European football. We need a bit of luck. By the way, we need Liverpool to win it now. Because we want that Conference League spot to come down to the league. So if Fulham win it, they've got it. If Chelsea win it, they're probably not going to finish in the European spots. And then obviously Middlesbrough. So we need Liverpool to win. We have to support Liverpool in the Carabao Cup now. So I think we can still finish 8th, and hopefully with a bit of luck, we can still get European football for next season. I think the Conference League next season for the new manager would be fantastic. But I also thought we could go on and do something in the Carabao Cup. I still think a little bit about the Europa League, because he won't do what we did last night in the Europa League. He won't do it. He will play his first 11 in the Europa League. He will. But a large part of the reason I wanted Moyes to remain, Charlie, was because I thought he would try and win the cup competitions. Well, he didn't, did he?
Look, again, I do think, and to give him some credit, not credit, but to give him some rope, I guess, I do think there is a bit of victim of your own success. Do you know what I mean? We have all this European football going on. Then we have this game in the quarterfinals. Then of course we've got Manchester United and then Arsenal in the league. So it is not it's not an easy period to manage. It's not. But you've maybe chose the worst way around of doing it. I mean, I think, how do I want to pick a way of wording this because it's very easy to make it sound like you think one way or the other. I agree with you. I think one of the things that I liked about Moyes was the idea of going for cups, and I still think he probably will. I still think at the end of the day he'll probably go for the Europa League. I can't see a situation in which when Europa League comes back round, he does what he did last night. I can't see a situation in which that happens.
He won't do that. We saw it in the game against Freiburg. He wanted to win the group.
Right, exactly. I feel like he'll still go for it, but it's such a difficult situation because what is he being judged on? And the other thing which makes this Allardyce-esque, Allardyce knew he was going, probably. By around about this time, the season he left, his last season, he knew he was gone. And in the second half of that season, we basically did nothing. We just coasted towards the end. We barely kicked a football, it felt like at times. And Moyes is in a situation now, and this is where you have to look at David Sullivan, you have to look at the way these things are run. He is probably as aware as we all are that this is probably the end, right? Like, we're probably going to move on at the end of this season. And is he going to be judged on winning a League Cup? No, because realistically, he almost got fired after winning a European trophy. So it becomes a question of, like, what's his priorities and where's he going to put in places? And if he thinks, well, League Cup means nothing to my future, then he's probably not going to put anything in it. And it's such an awkward, difficult situation to be gone in. And again, I didn't want Moyes. I want Moyes to stay to the end of the season currently as well. That's currently my current position because I think it's probably giving us the best opportunity to win the European trophy, which is the thing I want. I want most in this. If you say at the end of this season, what's the one thing you can want? Europa League. If we can win the Europa League, that's an insanely large achievement. That's massive. One, it gets us into European football once again. Two, it gives us a trophy again. And three, it's a massive thing. You know, we've been doing this channel for over 8 years now, right? Insane to say out loud, but that's something we've been doing. And since the very beginning, I remember vividly, Geo, right? First season we did this, Bilic, last season at Upton Park. Towards the end of it, we had a chance of getting fourth and we had a chance to get into an FA Cup final. And you asked me, your exact words to me, it was me, you, and I think Tom Down on a video. And you said, would you rather get fourth or would you rather get an FA Cup? Or get to the FA Cup finals, we said. And I said fourth because I wanted European football. I wanted European football, and Champions League gives us a better opportunity to buy better players and to move forward as a club. Winning the Europa League does that. It gets us Champions League, and you've seen how good some of the players are we can get when we're playing Europa Conference League, let alone when we're playing Europa League, someone like Kudus and Alvarez. Imagine that Champions League, we can do that. That's the thing I really, really want, and I don't think and I think that gives us the best opportunity of doing it. But it's really difficult to justify when you know he's gone at the end, when you know he's probably gone at the end of the season, unless he wins that trophy.
Well, I was going to say,
when all these things don't work.
I think you can apply that to the Carabao Cup. If basically you're saying Moyes thinks he could have got sacked, but he stayed because he won the trophy, right? Then let's apply that to this season. If it's still a big if, but if we went to win the Carabao Cup, and I'm not saying if we fielded our strongest 11, we'd have won that. I'm not saying that we could have still got beat. But hypothetically, just go with this.
Yeah.
If we were to go win the Carabao Cup, surely then Moyes would feel that he's staying next season because how would West Ham be able to not renew the contract of a manager who's won 2 trophies in 2 seasons?
But what? Yeah, but how's he getting? We won. People wanted him gone instantaneously. I mean, we had conversations about it on this channel.
He didn't go. He didn't go so, Charlie. My point is,
no, but what I'm saying is, we had conversations about it, right? Yeah. We had conversations about whether this was the right time for him to go straight after winning a trophy. Now, I personally was against it, but you know, that's sort of where we were at, right? I think there is a legitimate thing to say, actually, from his perspective, what's valuable and what isn't. It becomes a really difficult question to answer when he knows he's going at the end of the season regardless. And then you see, right? I've heard it already, right? When this season, when it's been going poorly, and a lot of the conversation has been, should we be Moyes in and Moyes out and all these things. I've heard a lot of people downplay what we did last season in the Europa Conference League of winning it. Oh, we did. It was, it's not very many difficult teams that we just had to beat to get there. Like, and I think that's ridiculous. I think that's an insane thing to say, right? I think that's just not correct. But you hear it, and it becomes a really difficult thing. Again, this is not to say, like, for example, I saw James. Where is it? Let me say it. James, good to see you, by the way. Love you. Disagree, Charlie. Love you. But throwing competitions with 6K fans. That's not what I'm not saying it's acceptable. I'm saying from Moyes' perspective, this is probably something that he has to think about at some stage. And I think that's where you have to ask. You have to look at the leadership and what's doing. I agree. I think that end of the season, he's probably going, and it's about building on what he has and improving West Ham, because I think we have outgrown him. I think you're 100% correct when you say that. I think there is a ceiling with Moyes, and I think there is a sort of base level with Moyes, and I think we've reached the ceiling and we're hitting that. What that is for West Ham beyond that, I genuinely don't know the answer to that question, but I do think we are there. And once you're there, you have to ask yourself the question as a club, I guess, is, do you want to try and push that past that? Do you want to roll that dice, or are you content with it,
This is where Moyes should be trying to change the club's mind, give the club reasons to keep him on.
Yeah.
And make it difficult for the club to not renew your contract. That's what he should be doing. So that's just difficult. Well, let's do some comments, Charlie, and we'll wrap this up. You can let's just read out what people are thinking, and so get your thoughts into the live chat, whatever about West Ham's game, Moyes, whatever, anything West Ham related. Get into the live chat, and we'll start reading out some questions. Nick says we have a filthy away record to Liverpool, so Moyes will get away with this debacle. Barry says get Moyes gone and let Tim and Noble take over till the window opens with a new manager.
No, I think probably cutting off on us to spite our face a little bit.
Cosmos said, "Don't understand going full strength against Arsenal, not the same or better against Liverpool."
It's a good point, Cosmos, because it really makes no sense whatsoever.
It's like baking this really good cake, and then someone says, "What icing are you going to do?" I'm just going to put it in the bin now.
Yeah,
I've made it now, and I'm just going to bin it. Look at this beautiful cake. I've spent hours on it. It looks really good. I spent a lot of money on it. Yeah, can't wait to eat it, but I know no one's eating it. So what's the fun? I'm just going to put it in the bin. Look,
I mean, he said it in his interviews at one point. He was sort of spoken about when he does, what he does, where he gets his back up and he starts to get really defensive about stuff, which is why I don't listen to the vast majority of things he says. He was like, we had to beat Arsenal to get here, and I'm like, yeah, you played a good team there, bro. Like, what changed? What changed between then and now? Why was it worth doing then and not now? What was the difference?
Jordy said, if he doesn't try run over Man U on Saturday through the Liverpool game, makes no sense. James says, whether he's going or not, surely being professional is important. DC thinks he should be sacked this morning. Mr. Bones said, I feel sorry for the 6,000 fans who travelled up there on a Wednesday just before Christmas to have to see that lineup and perform that bad. Absolutely pathetic.
I should say, there were some people in the Patreon group chat last night who were just, and I felt so sorry for them, hearing the voice notes, seeing their messages.
I woke up to some people messaging in group chats or myself at like 4 a.m. like, home now. I'm like,
yeah.
Chris said, I'd rather have lost 5-1 against Wolves and won this game. He's very disheartened. David said, we're conceding goals for fun currently. Man U must be thinking easy game on Saturday for them. Chris said, if you asked our players and supporters which game to prioritise, we'd have all picked Liverpool. We would all have accepted in putting out a scratch team against Man U. I don't think everyone would have, but I think the majority would. Even those that would have prioritised the Man U game, I think you'd get it. I think you'd understand why Moyes would have done what he's done. Obviously, it would depend on beating Liverpool. That's the problem. If we'd lost against Liverpool, the full team, and rotated, it might get some criticism, but I think it'd be easy for Moyes to justify his team. I think it'd be easier for Moyes to justify his team selection if he went full strength than just trying to justify it outside. Because you've heard him try and justify it, and he's been struggling. Yeah. He got to the point where he's calling out the journalists in that press conference. He actually ended up just saying, right, come on then, I'm just going to use as a Liverpool fan. What do you think we do?
Roshane asked him a question. Roshane from The Athletic, who obviously writes about West Ham, asked him a question about like has what expectations being risen and whether he feels like he deserves more respect and stuff like this. And he literally starts going on about, like you say, starts saying about, well, what's expected of West Ham? And he goes, not you, to O'Shane, who obviously comes to West Ham. He goes, Liverpool fans. Who's a Liverpool fan in here? What would you expect? Would you expect West Ham to be fighting for? I think he says Champions League, which is a bit of a bold.
Do you expect West Ham win a European trophy? Do you expect us to be challenging for Champions League? Because not many people know in their heads, so I take it you don't. The thing is, like, I've not met many West Ham fans that think we should be challenging for fourth. I don't understand why he's saying that. Like, but nobody's expecting us to do that. So why? It's almost like making stuff up. It'd be like if someone was to slag us off for a number of subscribers, me to go on a video, going, "Well, who's expecting us to have 100,000?" Eh? Nobody is. It's not a thing.
I think it's going to be something we're going to have to come to reckon with potentially once he leaves, is what the future of West Ham actually is and what that means of what we're wanting and what we look like. Because we're in a situation where, and I want to say this very briefly, we're in a really difficult situation as a club as West Ham because the top 6 is now a top 7. You know, Newcastle exists. And whether or not they're consistently there, right?
Top 8 with Villa, can you see them dropping?
Well, no, because here's the thing: I can see Villa dropping off. The point I'm making with Newcastle is they have the money and the backing to be consistently in that group. Villa right now are obviously absolutely killing the game. They're looking like they're having a brilliant season. And listen, as a West Ham fan, I would prefer to be in that position. But like as a fan of non-top 7 sides, go at it. I want them to finish as strongly as possible, right? But realistically, I'm talking long term here, and I'm talking this is something that we're going to have to come to terms with as West Ham fans and really start to think about what that means for us, which makes last night more galling, by the way. If there is a top 7, which there is because Newcastle have so much money and will just continue to grow and continue to spend more money and continue to be in that position, then that means European positions are going to become more and more difficult to get in the league. And as a club of our stature, what is the goal? If the goal is to try and grow, to try and be the best of the rest, then that means getting into Europe. And what's the only way of doing that? By winning cup competitions. If you can't get to the end, if you can't get into the top 7 without teams dropping out, which is, you know, sort of how it works right now in a league, then what's the only way you can get any sort of glory as a fan, any sort of what we want, those days out, those moments like Prague, where if you were in Prague or whether you weren't, go back and watch Geo's video where he's just wandering around Stratford going crazy with however many other people there were around. If we want nights like that as a fan, what's the only way we're able to do that? Cup competitions. And I think this is something we're going to have to come to terms with. Right now, we're speaking purely as, you know, reacting to the game last night and being furious at how it played out for a myriad of incredibly obvious reasons. But long term, once Moyes goes, this is something we're going to have to come to terms with of what is the goal of West Ham United. And I can't see any way of saying it. It's going to be cup competitions. Sure, you do as well in the league as possible because when you have a season like Chelsea are having or Man United are having and they drop out of that, you want to be able to sneak in like Villa have done by being brilliant and earning their right to being that. Long term, I don't think they get in there. But in the short term, this season, they can get in there. Cup competitions are going to be the bread and butter of clubs like West Ham, clubs like Villa, you know, and anyone else around us, right? Any of those teams that are around us. And that makes nights like last night, for someone like me who is sort of looking for long term, partially because I know Moyes is going, so I'm starting to think about these things like more long term. It makes nights like last night even more annoying because it's just that's us. That's our dreams as a fan base, as a club. That is us. And we watched it go for no reason last night. For no reason.
Alan says when we're seeing Anton next, possibly tomorrow. It's usually a Wednesday that I'm doing my video with Anton Ferdinand. But yesterday we were, funny enough, 2 streets away from where Anton lives. But Anton was in London. But because we were down in Essex yesterday meeting Julian and Tony, we couldn't do it. But he's trying to sort something for tomorrow. But what's your question, actually, Alan? You might as well put your bloody question up, will you? You've got about 30 seconds to put your question up, otherwise it ain't getting asked. But so submit your question. But before we start wrapping this up, just want to say thank you to people. We've got nearly 500 people watching us, which is insane for a Friday morning when we're just chatting gibberish about David Moyes chatting gibberish. And it's a bit of a new series. Myself and Charlie intend on sticking with it. So we'll be that would mean that we're live early morning Christmas Eve, which I'm all right with. Are you all right with early morning Christmas Eve?
Didn't think it was Christmas Eve, but yeah, I should be. I'm going to see my family that day, but I think we'll be done. Gee, this waking up early lark's great. I think we could be done with the show before we even do all that stuff.
Nando says we're playing one of the biggest clubs in the world in a cut quarter who are there for the taking. You cannot excuse what evolved last night. Luke from Three Hammers said, I just can't get up for games. I find it really sad that my hobby and passion is becoming a chore. He would also like to see David Moyes sacked. The guy said Ben Johnson was the best player on the pitch last night, even though he was out of position.
Yeah, let's just savour it something very quickly. I just want to say, as you click on a couple more comments, just as a positive, I thought he did all right last night. I really do, and I'm a bit too much of a Ben Johnson fan. Like I probably give him more work than I should, but I thought he did well last night.
I thought he was okay. Honestly, I thought he was all right. To be honest with you,
especially considering what he was up against. I mean, at times that was a relentless barrage of just non-stop pressure. And I thought if someone playing out of position, and I do think right back is the strongest position, but if someone playing out of position, I think he did quite well.
Yeah. Anyway, no, Gonzo's not done. Didn't he have his video up in the morning? This was just something me Charlie decided to do. Once we did it once. Can't remember why. We just did it, and we thought well, maybe we could just do this every morning after the game. So anyway, we will leave there. Mr. Walsh, would you like to close your show?
If you have somehow enjoyed it, then make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification button because we have tons of videos, not just match day stuff, but obviously all throughout the week as well, leading up to it. And listen, January's coming up. Transfer rumours. Oh my God.
I've got a big video coming up next week. I say a big video. It's taken me ages and I'm still haven't done it yet. Basically, I've asked one fan from every team, are you happy with the way your team plays? Because obviously we get frustrated with the way that West Ham played the David Moyes. I thought, one time, but I was watching Forest play someone, I thought, these fans can't be happy. I watched Man United play someone, I thought, Man United fans can't be happy with this. I thought, how many fans are actually happy with how their team plays? So I've reached out to 20 fans, well, 19 fans from 19 different clubs, and said, can you send me a clip? So I've got 15 of them. So we might just have to go with how do 15 Premier League fans think about how their team plays. I'm going to try and get the rest of them, but it's a different video. It's a little bit of fun, but a different video as well.
Yeah, and Gio's actually put effort into it. So, like, trust me, doing that sort of stuff is hard. And usually the way YouTube works, the more effort you put into a video, the less it works out views-wise. It's usually completely opposite way. So it'd be quite nice if everyone watched it. But yeah, like the video as well because it helps us out. And we'll be back probably, like you say, after the next game, Christmas Eve. 9 a.m.
Yeah, 9 a.m. on Christmas Eve. That sounds good to me, Walsh.
We'll be back. But anyway, cheers to everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. And we'll see you next time. See you later, everyone. Bye. But where's the thing's been deleted? The thing I'll press this one.
I've got it. Look. There you go.
Oh, it hadn't loaded on my screen.
Subscribe. We'll catch you in a bit. Ta-ra, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.